Everyone at Blackwood College knew about the closed wing, but no one talked about it openly. It was the oldest part of the campus, sealed off after a mysterious incident years ago. Some said a fire broke out. Others whispered about students who never left that building alive. The administration called it structural damage. Students called it cursed. I was a second-year student when curiosity got the better of me. It started with late-night study sessions in the library. Around 2:13 a.m., always the same time, I began hearing footsteps echoing through the empty halls. Slow, heavy, like someone dragging their feet. Whenever I looked up, the sound stopped. At first, I blamed sleep deprivation. Then came the notes. Slips of yellow paper began appearing in my bag. No handwriting I recognized. Just 3 words, written in shaky ink. Don't come here. I laughed it off. College pranks, I thought. But the laughter faded when I realized the notes only appeared on days I studied near the closed wing. One night, my friend Ayan dared me to go closer. It's just an abandoned building, he said. People exaggerate. The hallway leading to the closed wing was colder than the rest of the campus. The lights flickered, buzzing like dying insects. At the end of the corridor stood a rusted iron door, chained shut. On the wall beside it, something was scratched deeply into the paint. "We are still studying." My chest tightened. As we turned to leave, the chain on the door rattled. Once. Then again. Slowly. Deliberately. From behind the door came the sound of chairs scraping across the floor. Whispering voices followed, dozens of them overlapping, repeating one sentence again and again. "Class is not over." We ran. That night, I dreamed of classrooms filled with students who had no faces, only dark, hollow spaces where eyes should be. They all turned toward me at once. And then I woke up to a final note on my desk. "You're enrolled now." After that night, things at Blackwood College changed for me. My name started appearing on attendance sheets for classes I never attended, classes that didn't exist. Room numbers like C13 and W04 showed up on my student portal, but when I searched the campus map, those rooms weren't listed anywhere. I tried reporting it to the administration. The clerk stared at her screen, then slowly looked up at me. "You've always been enrolled in these classes," she said calmly. "You just have poor attendance." That same evening, Ayan stopped answering my calls. I found him the next day in the cafeteria, sitting alone, staring at his tray. When I called his name, he flinched like I'd slapped him. His eyes were bloodshot, dark circles sinking deep into his face. "They marked me absent," he whispered. "What?" I asked. "The class. The one behind the door." He gripped my arm painfully hard. "If you miss 3 lectures, you don't get to leave." That night, my phone buzzed at exactly 2:13 a.m. Unknown, * lecture starting. Late students will be punished, *. Before I could react, my dorm room lights went out. The walls began to sweat, dark streaks dripping down like old blood. The door creaked open by itself, revealing a hallway that wasn't my dorm corridor anymore. Rows of lockers lined the walls, rusted and dented. Overhead, flickering lights spelled out room numbers that rearranged themselves as I walked. At the end was a classroom. Inside, faceless students sat perfectly still. A tall figure stood at the board, its limbs unnaturally long, its head tilted too far to one side. It turned toward me. "You're late," it said. The door slammed shut behind me. Time didn't work normally inside that classroom. Minutes stretched into hours. Or maybe days. The faceless students never moved, never spoke, except when the teacher commanded it. Then they all spoke together, their voices overlapping into something wet and broken. "Right." The exam paper in front of me was blank at first. Slowly, words appeared on their own. Question 1. When did you first ignore the warning? Question 2. Why did you think you were special? Question 3. Who will take your place? Every wrong answer made the room darker. Every hesitation caused the walls to close in slightly. I could hear something breathing behind me, close enough to feel on my neck. I thought of Ayan, of the notes, of the chain rattling. For the final question, I wrote the only thing that felt true. I don't want anyone else to suffer. The classroom went silent. The teacher's head snapped toward me. It smiled, too wide, tearing its own face apart. That It said softly, "Is not how this works." The bell rang. Suddenly, the faceless students turned toward me. Their hollow faces began to fill, slowly reshaping into faces I recognized. Seniors, professors, missing students whose photos still hung on notice boards. And Ion. They reached for me. I screamed, and woke up on the floor of the closed wing hallway, the chain door wide open behind me. Morning light flooded the corridor. I thought it was over. I was wrong. Blackwood College held its graduation ceremony under clear skies. Parents smiled. Cameras flashed. My name was called, and I walked onto the stage like nothing had happened. But I knew. The closed wing was open now. Renovated. Fresh paint. New classrooms. Too new. As students entered, I saw faint scratches beneath the paint. Old messages trying to resurface. The whispers returned at 2:13 a.m., louder than ever. Ion was never found. Weeks later, I received an email from the college administration. Subject, teaching assistant assignment. Body, *, congratulations. You have been selected to assist with freshman orientation, *. Attached was a photo. It showed me standing at the front of a classroom, smiling. My eyes were hollow. I checked the mirror in my room. For just a second, my reflection didn't move when I did. Behind me, a familiar voice whispered, "Class is not over." Ravenshore College only came alive after sunset. Most students left by evening, but the night batch, working students, repeaters, and scholarship kids like me, filled the campus after 7 p.m. The buildings looked different at night. Older, like they were remembering things they didn't want to. It started when the elevator in the humanities block stopped recognizing floors. One night, I pressed G. The doors closed, the lights flickered, and a new button lit up. B2. I had studied that building for 2 years. There was no basement. Before I could react, the elevator dropped, not fast, but deep. The hum of the cables sounded strained, like something breathing. When the doors opened, a cold smell rushed in, dust, metal, and something rotten beneath it. The corridor beyond was lined with locked glass cabinets. Inside were old files, yellowed photos, and nameplates. All of them had student IDs. At the end of the hall, a flickering board read, "Archive of the Unregistered." As I stepped inside, the elevator doors shut behind me. The lights dimmed. A register lay open on a desk, its pages filled with names written in different inks, different handwriting. My name was already there. A voice echoed from the darkness. "Calm. Administrative. Attendance is mandatory." The lights went out. When they came back on, I was alone in the elevator again. No B2 button. No basement. But when I checked my phone, my student portal showed a new status. Enrolled. Night Archive Program. After that night, I started noticing people on campus who didn't exist. They attended night classes, but never spoke. Sat in the back rows. Their faces blurred when I tried to focus on them. If a teacher called their name, the teacher would pause, confused, then continue as if nothing had happened. I found one of the names from the register online. No social media, no records, just a missing student notice from 10 years ago. That same name appeared again, carved faintly into my desk during a lecture. At 11:47 p.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown. Report to archives. The humanities elevator opened on its own. B2 was back. This time, the archive was full. Dozens of students stood in lines, holding forms that dripped ink onto the floor. Their shadows didn't match their bodies. Some stretched too long, others twisted wrong. A tall woman stood behind the desk. Her face was sharp, eyes hollow like empty files. "Students who are forgotten," she said, "are reassigned." She handed me a form. Reason for erasure? Before I could answer, I saw a familiar name on the list. My roommate. I ran. But back in my dorm, his bed was empty. His belongings gone. No one remembered him. Not even his parents' contact info existed anymore. Only I remembered. And now, I was on the list. Sleep became impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the archive. Rows of names being crossed out, rewritten, reassigned. I started finding ink stains on my hands when I woke up. even though I hadn't touched a pen. During class, my reflection in the window lagged behind my movements. At exactly 11:47 p.m., the campus speakers turned on. Reassignment in progress. Students froze in place. Lights dimmed. Doors locked automatically. The archive doors were open. Inside, the register floated above the desk, its pages flipping on their own. Names disappeared as they were spoken aloud by unseen voices. When my name was called, the lights focused on me. "You remember," the woman said. "That makes you useful." She offered me a choice. Take someone else's place in the register, or become permanent. I thought of my roommate, of the faceless students, of the ones no one remembered. I wrote my answer in ink that wasn't ink. The archive shook. The lights went out. When I woke up, it was morning. The campus looked normal. Students laughed. Professors lectured. But the missing posters were gone. So were the people. Now, I work nights at Ravensshire College. Officially, I'm a student assistant for orientation. Unofficially, I guide lost students. Sometimes the elevator stops at B2 on its own. Sometimes, a confused freshman asks why their name isn't showing up in the system. I smile and tell them not to worry. The archive always fixes errors. Tonight, a new register arrived. Fresh pages. Clean ink. At the top, a title was stamped. New intake. The first name written was yours. And the elevator is already on its way down. Greenfield College prided itself on discipline. Bells rang on time. Attendance was strict, and schedules were sacred. So when my timetable changed overnight, I noticed immediately. I had printed it the night before. Monday, literature. Tuesday, economics. Wednesday, free. But on Thursday morning, a new line appeared, ink darker than the rest. Friday, 6:40 p.m. Lecture Hall 9B. Subject, revision. There was no Lecture Hall 9B. I asked my classmates. They laughed, told me I was stressed. Even the administration showed me their version of my timetable, no Friday lecture. But my phone reminder buzzed at 6:35 p.m. Don't be late. The campus felt wrong that evening. Too quiet. The sun dipped suddenly, as if someone had turned down the light. Hallways stretched longer than usual, and every clock I passed showed 6:39. I found Lecture Hall 9B behind the science block, hidden by renovation boards. The door was unlocked. Inside, rows of dusty desks faced a blackboard covered in faint chalk marks. Names, dates, tally marks. Hundreds of them. The moment I stepped inside, the door shut on its own. The clock above the board clicked forward. 6:40 p.m. The bell rang, and I realized I was the only one in the room. Or so I thought. The seats began to fill silently. Students appeared without entering, blinking into existence as if the room was remembering them. They wore old uniforms, outdated logos stitched on their shirts. Some looked decades old. Others looked exactly my age, except their eyes were empty. No one spoke. A man entered through the blackboard itself, stepping out of chalk dust. His face was smudged white, his smile drawn too wide. "Welcome back," he said, though I had never seen him before. He began the lecture without notes. As he spoke, the chalk marks on the board rearranged themselves into dates. Years I recognized, accident reports, missing student cases, campus tragedies. Every date was a Friday. Every time the clock struck 7 o'clock, one student vanished from their seat. No sound, no movement, just gone. I tried to leave. The door wouldn't open. The man turned toward me. "Revision means correction," he said. "Those who make mistakes repeat." I looked down at my desk. Carved deeply into the wood was my name. Over and over again. Each version crossed out. The clock ticked louder. 6:40 p.m. It had gone backward. The bell rang again. The lecture restarted. That's when I understood. This class had no end. I don't know how many times the lecture repeated. Each cycle, the room decayed further. Desks cracked. Walls bled chalk dust like ash. Fewer students appeared each time, and those who did looked more broken, limbs stiff, faces half erased. The man never changed. But I did. I started noticing patterns. Names vanished in the order they were written on the board. Those who remembered their names lasted longer. Those who forgot disappeared faster. I scratched my name onto my arm with a broken pencil. I whispered it during the lecture. Again, again. When the clock hit 6:59, I stood up. The man smiled wider. "Sit," he commanded. I erased the board. Dates, names, tallies, gone in one violent sweep. The room screamed. The clock shattered. Time froze. The students looked at me, not empty anymore. Afraid. The man began to fade, his chalk body cracking. "Class dismissed," he whispered. The door flew open. I ran. Behind me, the bell rang one final time. They said I collapsed near the science block. No lecture hall, no board, no dust. But my timetable changed again. Friday, 6:40 p.m. Location, TBA. I tried skipping campus that day. At 6:39 p.m., every clock in my house stopped. My phone buzzed. Attendance matters. When I looked at my reflection, chalk dust stained my hands. My mouth opened on its own. "Welcome back," I heard myself say. Somewhere, a bell rang. And next Friday, someone else's timetable will change. Northvale College Hostel was famous for one thing. Rooms were always full. Every corner was occupied, every bed assigned. So when I was given a key without a room number, I knew something was wrong. The warden didn't look up while handing it to me. "Top floor," he said. "End of the corridor." "There's no number?" I asked. He paused, then replied, "There used to be." The top floor was colder than the rest of the hostel. Lights flickered like they were unsure they belonged there. At the end of the corridor stood a door with peeled paint and a mirror nailed to it. No number, no name. When I unlocked it, the mirror showed my reflection smiling. I wasn't. Inside, the room was clean. Too clean. One bed, one desk, one chair, and a large mirror fixed to the wall opposite the bed. That night, at exactly 1:17 a.m., the mirror fogged up on its own. Words appeared slowly, as if written from the inside. "Who are you staying as?" I laughed nervously and wiped it away. In the morning, my roommate, assigned to a different room, asked why I didn't come back last night. "What do you mean?" I said. "I slept in my room." He frowned. "That room's been locked for years." I checked my key. The number had appeared overnight. 317. Room 317 wasn't on the hostel register. I checked the notice board. Room numbers skipped from 316 to 318. When I asked the warden again, he stared at me like I'd spoken in the wrong language. "There is number 317, he said. That night, the mirror spoke again. This time, my reflection moved before I did. It blinked, smiled, raised its hand. I didn't. "You're borrowing this face," it whispered from behind the glass. "Temporary residents don't last." I tried covering the mirror with a bedsheet. At 1:17 a.m., I heard fabric tearing. The sheet lay shredded on the floor. Scratches appeared on the mirror, tally marks. Names etched beneath them. Dozens. Some crossed out. Some scratched so hard the glass cracked. One name was fresh. Mine. The next day, people started calling me by another name. A senior I'd never met greeted me like an old friend. "You're back," he said. "We thought you left." My ID card photo had changed. It wasn't exactly me, but close. That night, the mirror showed a second bed behind me. Someone was sitting on it. Someone wearing my face. I stopped sleeping. Every reflection, windows, phone screens, polished floors, lagged slightly behind my movements. Sometimes, they mouthed words I didn't say. At 1:17 a.m., the mirror cracked fully. My reflection stepped out. Up close, it smelled wrong, like damp paper and old rooms never opened. It smiled perfectly. "You get 4 nights, it said. "That's the rule." "Rule for what?" I asked. "To decide who stays." It explained everything. Room 317 was a holding room. Students who felt lost, unseen, replaceable, they were noticed by the mirror, given a chance to leave, or to stay forever. The ones who stayed became reflections. The ones who left were forgotten. My reflection touched the tally marks. "You're already fading," it said gently. I saw it then. My hands looked transparent in the mirror. On the 4th night, the hostel went silent. No fans, no phones, no power. The mirror opened like a door. Step in, my reflection said. Or let me. I made my choice. Room 317 is occupied now. By me. At least, that's what the hostel records say. Students pass by and nod. They know my face, my name, my history. I attend classes, eat meals, submit assignments. But I never leave the mirrors. Because I didn't step out. I stepped in. From the other side, I watch my reflection live my life perfectly, better than I ever did. Sometimes, new students reach the top floor by mistake. They pause at the end of the corridor. They see the door without a number. And I smile from the mirror, waiting for 1:17 a.m. Room 317 is never empty.